So once you've sewn in all of sewn in that end, we're going to make the strap now. So what we are going to do is, if you look at your where you've got your marker for where you started and finished your rounds, you've got these 8 stitches where you've got the front loop left, or actually the back loop, because we did it on the other side. So we've got these 8 loops here. So find the first one here on the right. This is assuming you're right-handed. So find this very first one, and you're going to do a single crochet into there, joining your yarn into that stitch. Okay, so I've got the slip stitch on my hook already. I've got a nice long tail to sew in so that it makes it nice and secure, because this is our strap. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight into that loop laying on the front there, and I'm going to do a single crochet. Just going to hold on to my tail and do a single crochet there. Okay, now I am going to work this tail along for the first row, and then I will sew it in for the next row. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to take this tail round the other way. What we're going to do is a single crochet, sorry, a double crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to keep this in keeping with the seed stitch that we did on the body of the bag. So go into the next and do a double crochet just into that front loop there, that loop laying on there. Okay, and then a single crochet in the next, and then a double crochet in the next, and then a single crochet, and then a double, and then a single, and then a final double crochet in that last stitch. Okay, and then this last piece of tail I will sew in nice and securely. So we've got our first row there of single, double, single, double, single, double, single, double, 8 stitches all together. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1, turn our work around, and then we're going to continue back by starting with a single crochet, single, and then a double, single, double, single, double, single, and finally a double in that last stitch. Okay, so we've done 2 rows. You want 35 rows altogether. Okay, 35 rows altogether. That's just 2 rows. So chain 1 and then continue and do 33 more rows. So mark it on a piece of paper or something, or use your stitch a row counter or some stitch markers or something if you need to. Okay, so you want to do this for 33 rows, 8 stitches for 33 more rows, and I will see you when I've done those rows. Okay, I have finished all 35 rows of my strap, and I've just fastened off, and then I've left a really long tail for sewing, probably far too long, but I want to make sure I've got enough to make it really secure. Okay, I've sewn in the tail that I had left from where it was attached, so that's all done nicely. And then what you want to do is just fold your strap in half, hold it by the base, and then just check that it's big enough to pop your hand through, and then have it on your wrist like so. Okay, this is quite stretchy. If you've got yarn that isn't as stretchy, then it won't have as much give to pop your hand in, or if you crochet more tightly. So just make sure that it is big enough to pop your hand and wrist through there. If it's not quite as big or as loose as you would like to have that loop over your wrist, then just make sure that you do a few extra rows, okay? And equally, if you find that it's much too big for you, then just take a few rows off until it's the right size. But just remember, it will be attached, so just try it when it's, hold it together and then pop your hand in. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have our stitch markers on either side of these chain spaces on one side of the back. We have stitch markers on the other side at either side of those chain spaces. We have made the base, the sides, we've done that nice border at the top, and then we've done our strap, okay, which we need to attach. So far so good, and I'm just going to give you an idea of how this will be when it's finished. This will fold in like so. Just get the base there. This side will fold in as well, like so. Okay, so the sides are like this and like so, and then this will be here like this. Okay, so that's roughly what we will have. That's what we've got so far. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is make this strap. So what you want to do is thread your needle, and like I said, I have got a very long tail here, but I just wanted to make sure I'd got plenty because it is the strap. You don't want your bag to come apart. So take the strap and then just fold it in half. So try and get this on the camera screen. So fold it in half, and then you want to sew this bottom edge here, or the edge that you finished, you want to sew it in here. You've got this slight gap here from where we attached the first stitches, so you have this slight edge here, so you want to pop that down there, and then you're going to sew it in place alongside there, so that when it is upright as a strap, it just kind of, if I can show you this on camera, it's quite tricky sometimes showing all this on camera. So this is the front of the bag, okay, this is the back, this is the strap, we attached it on the back there, and then we brought it up here and then fold it over and then sew it in this little gap here, so that will all sort of come up nicely and be attached. Okay, you can attach it as far up as you like, just make sure that you have got your loop open. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to sew that in however you prefer. You can just use a plain sort of running stitch, back stitch, however you prefer to do that. Just make sure it's nice and secure. So once you've sewn it, just have a good tug and make sure that it's holding securely. Okay, just think of what you're going to have in your bag and the weight it will need to take. Okay, so I'm going to attach mine and then I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, there we go. Mine is all sewn up there, nice and securely. There we go. So this is from the front and from the back, and then inside. There we go. Okay, so the next thing is, if you want to sew a liner into this, you can sew a fabric liner into this. Use some clear thread, ideally, and attach it to the inside. You can find many tutorials about lining crocheted bags and things. I'm not actually going to show you that today, but if you want to find out more about how to do that, then do have a look. There's plenty. If you Google or have a look on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find plenty of instructions on how to add a liner to a bag or a basket, which would use the same kind of technique. Okay, now I'm not going to line mine. But when you do line it, just be sure that you try and keep the stitches on the inside and not on the outside, unless you're using clear thread, or you want to make it a feature of having the stitches showing on the outside. Okay, so that's if you want to do a liner. If not, then we're going to move on to making the rest of the bag. We've got 3 more things to do. One is to do the ties for the sides. One is to attach the ring for this loop strap to go around there. Okay, and then the last is to attach a fastening snap in the middle. Okay, so we're going to make the ties for the sides, which are going to go through these chain spaces. Okay, so you need your yarn again. Pop your bag to the side, take your yarn. Okay, we're going to move on to making the ties for the side then. So you want to leave a nice long tail of about 12 inches or so, and then make your slip knot. Okay, and you need this because we're going to make a popcorn on the end. So then you're going to make a chain of 40. Okay, so a chain of 40. Now I've only done 4, so that's only 10%. And then at the other end of your chain of 40, leave another long tail of again about 12 inches. Okay, and then I will meet you back. You need to do 2 chains of 40, both with these very long tails, and then I will join you back once I have my 2 chains of 40. Just to say, when you get to the end of your 40 chains, and you're thinking, okay, how do I fasten this off? How do I make the other end of the tail? Just pull through as if you were going to chain, and then pull through that tail, chop, and then pull that tight. And then that end is nice and secure. The other end is secure with your slip knot, and you've got your chain of 40. Okay, with a nice long tail at either end. So that's 1 chain of 40. I'm going to make the second one, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so here's both my chains with their very long tails. So now we need to do some assembly, and you will need your buttons. So remember I said ideally you need an oblong button or a kind of toggle, something with 2 holes. Now, as I also said, I happen to not have any of those buttons to hand, didn't have time to go to the shop, so I'm going to work with what I've got here. So I've got these, or these, which aren't ideal. They're not very big, but they will do the job, and I've checked and my chain does fit through. So I just have to decide whether I want to go with the pink or the green. Okay, but make sure you've got your buttons to hand. And then grab your bag, pop 1 chain to the side for now, take your bag, and starting at one side, I'm just going to pop this handle into the bag out of the way. So starting at one end of your chain spaces, excuse me. Now let me just grab the needle. Now we're going to weave this through, and I'm going to suggest that you might want to thread a nice big yarn needle to help you weave in and out much easier. Okay, so I just threaded it through up to the chain, and then it's going to go into this first hole and back through. And we're going to leave the end sticking out of that hole. Okay, and then we're going to go in and out of the next, in and out of the next, and then in, out, and again, like so, and then we have our final one. So Okay, so this is the side that had the 11 holes. I'm not entirely sure if it should have had a different amount, just going by the pattern there. So I might check that out. The pattern hasn't been finalised yet for going into the group at the time I'm videoing this, so I might just have a double check on that with Amy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just ignore that last hole. No one will know it's there. If we don't know, if we just ignore it, no one will know, because the other thing you could do, if you don't want to ignore it, is instead of coming out of this hole, you could come out of this hole instead and just go through like so, and just ignore that hole in between. So you can either ignore the hole on the end or ignore that hole there, and then just bring it through like so. Okay, so I might do that actually. Okay, so then we've got our chain coming through at both sides like so, like this. So what we're going to do is take a button. Now let me decide, pink or green. Let's go for green. Okay, so what we're going to do is thread one side of this yarn through one hole of the button from back to front. You want it to come out of the front. Okay, and the chain as well. There we go. And then we're going to take this other one and take it through the other side of that button. It can sometimes help to pop a piece of tape on the end or use a needle. Okay, pull that through. And it will go through. I tried before. There we go. Just getting that knot through there. Okay. Let's pull that through like so. And that's how that's going to work, kind of. So now we need to do something to these tails. So what we're going to do is make a popcorn at the end of each chain. Okay. Okay, now I've zoomed in a little so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. So what I've done is I've taken one end of this chain, okay, and I'm going to put my hook through this first chain. I'm going to go through the back bump. You could go through one or two pieces of chain, entirely up to you, but I'm just going to go into the back bump. Okay, and then using this tail as my working yarn, I'm going to chain two. I'm going to pull a loop through. Might be slightly tricky. Pull a loop through and chain two. Okay, and then I'm going to work into that third chain from the hook, which was that chain we actually started in. Okay, and into there I'm going to make 5 double crochets. Okay, 5 double crochets into that chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is why you needed a nice long tail. Now I don't have much tail left, but there's, oops, get that through, that last one. Oops. Okay, not much tail left. And then, so you've got 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to remove your hook and pop it into the first double crochet that you made. Okay, and then you're going to bring this loop back onto your hook. It curves out towards the front, and then you're going to yarn over. No, we don't yarn over, sorry, excuse me there. Haven't done a popcorn for ages. So we're just going to get this loop and pull through that first stitch there. Okay, and then yarn over and pull that tail through, and then pull that nice and tight to secure it. And then you've got this little popcorn, sort of bobbly popcorn at the end of your chain, and that will stop your chain pulling through when you open your bag. And this little piece of tail, I'm just gonna weave inside here to hide it. Okay, if you find you don't have enough tail left, if you didn't keep enough yarn at the end, try with a smaller hook. Okay, if you don't have enough yarn to make your 5 stitches, use a smaller hook until you do have enough. Okay, so there we go. So I will just use my needle and thread that through the middle and hide that. So I'll show you once more on the next piece. Okay, so I'll show you that once more. So take your chain, the other end of your chain, so you can have 2 of these for each chain, because you've got 2 ends. Okay, so go into, let's pull this longer if you need to, go into the last chain of the chains. If you can't get into the very last one because you tied that really tightly, then don't worry, go into the next one up and chain 2. Okay, and then into the 3rd chain from the hook, so the one that you went into first of all, do your 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Have a slightly longer tail on this one. Okay, pull up that loop and then pop your hook back into the first stitch you made. Might be a bit tricky if it's gone a bit tight. Pop that back on your hook and then pop the loop back on. Pull it tighter as usual, and then as this bumps out to the front, pull that loop through that first stitch like so. There we go, the camera wants to focus, and then pull through this tail and pull tightly to close. And then once again just sew this end in and hide it in the middle there so it's all nice and neat and hidden. And there you have your second popcorn, nice bobbly popcorn. So we've got our 2 at the ends there. Lovely, a nice little feature there. Okay, so this, once those ends are sewn in and hidden, this is what we have at one side of the bag. You have your button, depending on what style you have your button. Just gathers the bag up nicely at the ends, and then you have your 2 little chain ties. Okay, so what you want to do now is repeat that with your second chain. Repeat that on this side through these holes, thread through, do your popcorn, and hey presto, there are your 2 ends done. So if you need to, just rewind the video a few minutes and repeat that through for this second tie. Okay, here is my tie. I've finished those popcorns and I've just undone it to show you how it extends to full width of the bag, like so. And then you just need to hold on to your ends and your button and then just pull to secure, like so. How cool is that? Love it, love it. Okay, so I've done that on both sides, like so. The last thing, no, not the last thing, almost last thing, we need to do the ring for securing our strap. Okay, so pop the bag to the side, take your ring, and we're going to just decorate the ring slightly. We're going to sort of do about half of it, and we're going to do some slip stitches around it. Okay, so then this is where you could use a contrasting yarn. So if you've used a contrasting yarn for your ties, you could use a contrasting yarn for your ring as well. Okay, so leave a tail for securing and slip knot on your hook, and then we are going to make slip stitches, 30 slip stitches around the ring. No, slip stitch and chain one. So I'm going to go around the ring, pull through, holding on to my tail, I'm going to pull through that loop. Okay, it's a bit fiddly, but if you did any of our circle patterns, and we did some projects working around a ring, then you're probably familiar with doing this. Okay, so then we're going to chain one, and then under, round, and slip stitch, chain one. Okay, so let me show you that again. We just zoom in. Okay, excuse me. So under, yarn over, pull through, pull up to the top and slip stitch, and then chain one. Okay, show you that again. Under, pull through, slip stitch, chain one. Okay, I'm just trying to see if the camera's focusing. Don't know if it is. There we go. Okay, so let me show you this again. Under, pull through, then up to the top, slip stitch through and chain one. Under, pull through, up to the top. I've got more than one piece of yarn there, no? Okay, try that again. So under, pull through, up to the top and slip stitch, and then chain one. Under, pull through, up to the top, slip stitch, chain one. Okay, we want 30 of these all together. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and then you're just going to bunch them all together when they're done. Okay, so I've got 7 all together. So I'm going to do another 23, and then I'll see you back when I've done the 23 before I fasten off. Okay, once you have all 30 stitches on there, if you find that 30 is too much for your ring, I mean, these need to be bunched up a little, but if you find that 30 is just too much for your ring and it's crowding it too much, then just do less. If your ring's a little smaller, just do less. It's fine, absolutely fine. Okay, you want it to be about sort of 2/3 to halfway kind of thing. Okay, so just push them together like so, and then to finish off, what we're going to do is just pull through a nice long tail, because you want to have enough yarn to sew this to the bag. So I'm going to leave a nice long tail because I want this to be secure. You've heard me say this a lot about this bag, but I want things to be secure. And I do. I don't want the bag to fall apart. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it yet, give it as a gift, or sell it. And just a word to say about selling. Amy is happy for people to sell their products they make with her pattern. Just to give credit to her that it's made using the design from Amy B at, let me just double check. Amy B, Keeping It Crafty with Amy B. Okay, so you may sell them, you may give them away. Just give Keeping It Crafty with Amy B some credit. She would really appreciate that. Okay, and the details will be in that description box below, as always. Okay, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. Whether I'm going to keep it myself or give it away. I don't want it to fall apart, and even more so if I'm going to give it away, and even more so if you're going to sell it. There's nothing worse than selling a product that's not up to standard. So pull that tail through, and then you've got this piece of yarn to sew through. You can just sew this back through here if you like, whatever you choose, and this long tail you can use to sew it to your bag. So I'm just going to deal with this end first, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the tail, where and how we're going to fix it. Okay, so just going to show you this. This is the tail that was near the slip knot, okay, and I've just taken it through from this side, under and through to this side. And as this was a curtain ring, you can see the hole there that was for the curtain. So I'm just going to scooch this around so that hole is hidden in there. Okay, so I've taken this through a few stitches at a time. Obviously the needle will not bend to go all the way around, so I've done a few stitches at a time. And then I'm going to take it back, and the reason I'm going to do this partly is to hide the tail and secure, and partly so it keeps this all nicely bunched up nice and tightly. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this top stitch here, this top strand, under a few, and then come out, pull that down, and then this is where I said just go under a few and then out, because the needle will not bend. Pull it nice and tightly, and it's just going to keep all these stitches bunched up nicely together, nice and neatly. Pull and out the other end, and just this last couple. Okay, so that's all bunched up nicely together, and then I'm just going to take it back through a little way, and then I'm going to pull this yarn extra tight, cut, and then give that a scooch, and that hides that tail in there nicely. Pop these stitches at the bottom so they look nice and neat, like so, and there we go, nice and neat and all together. And that hole from the curtain is in there somewhere. So then we just have this long tail to secure it to the bag. Okay, I've zoomed the camera back out so you can see the back. I've got the tail of this yarn from the ring on my needle, and I'm just going to line up where this meets, where this ring needs to be for the centre of the bag. So what I'm going to do is undo these. I want to make sure it's in exactly the right place. So I'm going to undo ties so the bag is fully stretched out. I'm going to find the centre of those. So let's find the centre and the centre there. There we go. Okay, so now I know that my strap is in the centre. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a stitch marker, bring this strap over, and this is where the strap meets. Okay, so I'm going to pop a stitch marker in the centre of where the strap meets. So it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Some people like things to be absolutely perfect, and if that's you, that's absolutely fine. Just take a tape measure. So I'm going to just mark the very middle there. Excuse me. And then the idea with this ring is that the top of this yarn, this part here, is going to roughly meet the top of the bag. That's how Amy's designed it. So I'm going to take the centre, roughly eyeball it for the centre, so about there, and that's roughly where it's going to sit. This is where, if you had a coordinating yarn, it would really stand out and look amazing. Or you might want it to just blend in like this one will. So we're going to keep this top part of the loop, of the ring open, and we're going to sew it so this top meets roughly the top of the bag. Okay, so I'm going to just sew this however you feel you want to sew this. There's no right or wrong. I'm not a professional sewer, I'm a crocheter. I'm not even a professional crocheter. So the idea is that you're just going to sew this around however you feel is best. So I think I'm going to go through some of these back loops here. Okay, so it might take a bit of a go. Okay, and just see what you can do. Sew it on. You don't have to attach it all the way around the bottom, you can just attach both sides. If you're only attaching both sides, and make sure it's nice and secure if you're not attaching this bottom part. Okay, you can go all the way around attaching it, or just at these sides. Okay, make sure you have at least this top half open. Okay, and I will see you when I've finished attaching mine. Attach however you feel is best. So fill it with all your bits and bobs, and then pull your ends in if you want. If you've got a lot of stuff, it means you can fill it, and it's expandable. These end ties are great for making it expandable. So you start with just a few bits and bobs, and then you do some shopping and you end up with a few more bits and bobs, so you can open the ties and make a bit more room. Okay, but this pulls it in nicely, and then you just want to pop this strap through that ring like so. It's up to you whether you want to make it look absolutely perfect or just go with it. And then over your wrist, and away you go. How cool is that? Just carry it on your wrist and away you go. Let me see if I can bring the camera up a bit to show you a bit better. Okay, I have moved the camera up a little bit, you can see a bit more now. So on your wrist, and then you can just carry it like so. It gives you your hands free, or you could of course carry it in your hand like so. And then as soon as you need your hand free, you just pop your wrist through, and there we go. Nice and free hands to grab things off the shelves and push a trolley, whatever. Quite handy for pushing the trolley and not letting go of your bag, and it's nice and secure. No one can get into that very easily because you've pulled the ends in. So there we go. How cool is that? Hands-free bag. So that is our wristlet pattern today. Oh, one more thing to show you. Which I can't actually show you today because I don't have one, is to sew a snap fastener or a popper, whatever you know it called as, a little pop fastener, snap fastener, one on here and one on here, and that will just close your bag nicely and make it even more secure. Okay, so you can get ones that you actually have to pop, you can get ones that are magnetic, so whatever works for you, just sew one of those on here, or you could use some fabric glue. Sew one on each side to match up, so that closes it nice and securely, so you've got extra security for your bag there. Okay, I don't have any snap fasteners at the moment. When I go and have a look for some different buttons, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these or get some of the wooden ones to match this wood here. I think that's what I'm going to do. Get some buttons to match the wood here, and then get some fasteners while I'm at it. I might get a magnetic one and put on there so it's nice and easy to just pull. Okay, and then just show you once more, thread this through. I maybe should have left a little bit more ring free. Just pull it through there and then pop it on your wrist, and off you go. And up to you whether you have this side or this side out. afterwards. Entirely up to you. There we go. How cool is that? Love it, love it. So there we go. There is our wristlet carry-all from Keeping It Crafty with Amy B. Thank you, Amy, for submitting your pattern to us for Members Month. Amy is a member of Beyond the Cal, and she has designed some wonderful things, and we have another one of her designs coming soon, very soon. Members Month has been extended slightly into October, so we have a little more to come, and we have another from Amy to come. So there we go. There is our pattern for today. I hope you found this useful and helpful, and that you've enjoyed having a look. If you're like me, you watch as many videos as you make. You watch a load and then you make some. If you've enjoyed this and you found it useful and helpful, then please click that like button, give us a thumbs up. It's always good to see your appreciation. We really do appreciate it, and not just for me for the tutorial, but for Amy for her pattern as well. So click that like button, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't as well. And if you want the written pattern for this, then have a look at the Facebook group, and as always, we love to see your photos. So if you've made this, please pop a photo in our Facebook group, or on Instagram, #BeyondTheCal, and feel free to tag me in it as well, Teacup Jojo, and I think Amy might be on Instagram as well, Keeping It Crafty with Amy B. So this is it today. I'm going to leave you with this, to finish it, to start it, to think about it, to think about what yarn you're going to use, and have fun with this. So until next time, just keep hooking and don't let your tea get cold.